Welcome to your Wednesday afternoon forecast. Thanks for joining me. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox here with Hail Trace. Today we are talking about a high risk for storms across the portions of Tennessee Valley into the eastern side of Arkansas. Now, let me tell you, what we saw yesterday was just kind of a preview to what we're going to see today. Okay, those storms were very, very isolated yesterday. They came a lot more widespread through the overnight hours, and we saw those storms come into Kansas City, Tulsa, OKC, Wichita through the overnight hours. But really, our biggest storm that we saw yesterday that impacted the most amount of people were golf ball size hail stones up in Grand Island, which is in the southern side of Nebraska. Now today, of course, the big story, and I've already seen some comments down there coming in from YouTube, thanks for joining us today, is of course that high risk today, which is going to go into the overnight hours tonight and even through tomorrow morning. So it's a level 5 out of 5. It is the highest that you can get for your risk from Tennessee Valley to the eastern side of Arkansas. And we'll talk about why today, but this is not the only risk for storms that we have this week. We have another chance tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we are in store for a very busy end of the work week and even into the weekend. Let's talk about what we saw yesterday, then we'll get into today and tomorrow. Coming out of Grand Island, again, the southern side of Nebraska, we saw those storms pop up. Actually, we were back here watching those storms from Hail Trace, but then we had other people mapping it in Hail Trace yesterday. Columbus into Kearney, you could see those storms just in between those two cities there. Max hail size that we saw from this storm was golf ball size hail, but we did see some 2 inchers reported up in northern Oklahoma. Now today we are seeing some storms. We've got a few severe thunderstorm warnings on the board right now. Maybe those were allowed to expire. We had another one, I think, down just to the south and west of Chicago just a few minutes ago in Peoria, Illinois, but it looks like maybe that, no, it's still on there. We've still got that severe thunderstorm warning ongoing right now. This is just one storm of a line of storms that stretches all the way from Chicago all the way to Dallas. I saw some people commenting about Dallas earlier. Now, your risk in Dallas has just about passed for now. You are expecting to get storms later on tonight and into tomorrow morning. This is, again, going to be an overnight event, so we are not expecting storms to be too impressive until tomorrow morning in Dallas. However, and what we'll talk about here in just a minute is there's an area right in here on the east side of Dallas, on the east side of Texas, that could be our next chance to get severe weather. So let's talk about those warnings and watches right now. There's your severe thunderstorm warning up in northern Illinois. We've got 2 more severe thunderstorm warnings up in Ohio going into Pennsylvania right now. You've got 2 watches going on until 4 o'clock this afternoon. This is a tornado watch in effect, highlighted there in pink. That goes until 4 o'clock this afternoon. You can see large hail out of this as well as those tornadoes, isolated at first and then maybe a little bit more widespread as we head into the late night hours. Now, you see an area down here. You can see the line of storms right here. And then you see an area just to the east of Dallas, as I mentioned earlier. You've got some rain on the east side of Dallas, but this is moving out of your area. This is the next area that we are expecting the next chance for severe storms. So we could get another watch in this area, either a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch. I think that the National Weather Service put it at a 60% chance to issue a watch in this area. They're really just seeing what this line of storms will do right here. So again, these storms will track to the east and become more likely to go severe, producing those violent tornadoes and large hail as we go into the evening hours. Now let's talk about the temperatures. I told you yesterday, follow the warm air. That is where you are going to find the best chance for storms. You can see that warm air tracking out to the east, but we've got a decent gradient setting up right along the plains that's going to initiate more storms for tomorrow. So we've got several rounds here, not only for what we see right now, but also all the way down into Dallas. You've got several rounds of storms, southeastern Oklahoma, all the way up into the Midwest, and that's something that's not only just going on today, but over the next few days as well. There's your watch, there's your line of storms, there's the front, there's your initiation that is going to, or your forcing that is going to initiate these storms later on into the evening hours. This is what's going to drive those storms to the east as we head into the evening hours. Now let's take a look at the radar right now. Non-severe storms up in Minnesota into Wisconsin, even mixing some snow into this. You can see those showers and storms severe on the southern end of this in Ohio, moving into Pennsylvania, but the farther north you go, the more you get that cold air mixing in, and those storms are non-severe. Nothing severe right now in Texas, but I did mention that this area is the next area that we are keeping an eye out for that next severe storm warning. Really anywhere from eastern Texas all the way up into the western side of Arkansas, into central and eastern Missouri, and even into portions of southwestern Illinois. Out to the west, we're a lot quieter out here. Not too much going on out in western U.S. right now. 69 here in Oklahoma City right now, 68 up in KC, 69 in Dallas, and we've even got some of the 80s starting to pop up there in the southern portion of the U.S. Go a little bit farther to the north and you need your jacket, where temperatures are in the 30s and 40s. Now, another way to identify where storms will form will be following the moisture. I say follow the heat, follow the moisture. Well, it's in the same spot. Anytime that we see this gradient right here, this quick change from lots of moisture to dry air, that's a gradient, and we call it a tight gradient whenever it's a very quick change from lots of moisture to dry air. So you can see exactly where we're expecting those storms as we head into the overnight hours tonight and through tomorrow morning. This is 7 a.m. Where do you expect storms to be? Right outside of Texas, all the way up and into the Midwest. So you can kind of see that line highlighted there. There's your high risk. This is something you've probably seen all over social media today. Lots of people talking about this. I think, and I may be mistaken by this, but I think it's the second high risk of the season. We've got some confirmation from Haley back here that we think it's the second high risk of the season. Now, I will tell you, it's pretty rare to get a high risk at all throughout the year at all. So to see two in the span of 1 month is pretty impressive, okay? So we're expecting those storms to happen today. So what does this mean? Okay, it's impressive, but what does this mean? Here's your timeline, and we're going to show this multiple times. So if you don't catch it the first time, don't worry, we'll show it again. So here's what we're expecting today. Where is the best chance for the strongest storms? Right there in that high risk. That's what it means, highest chance for storms. But we've got a highlighted here in red, that's a level 4 risk here, level 4 out of 5. Another great chance to see storms today. And of course that risk goes down as you go out into the year enhanced, slight, marginal risk, level 3, level 2, level 1, highlighted in green. But really these colors don't mean anything. What do these storms mean? What's actually going to happen at the surface? So I'll tell you, mostly what we are watching for here in this line of storms is going to be high wind, embedded tornadoes, and large hail. Now your hail sizes in this is going to be closer to the size of a golf ball or smaller. What we're watching for the biggest, the largest hail will be these isolated, discrete supercells that will pop up, and you'll see them pop up here in just a minute, around 5 o'clock this evening. And if you can get one of these isolated storms, that is where you're going to see the largest hail. Other than this is a wind machine with embedded tornadoes. Now, we call these spin-up tornadoes oftentimes. That does not mean that they are weak tornadoes. It means that they happen very fast. This will continue to track to the east through the overnight hours tonight, and just by the time that we start to see these storms weakening anywhere from Tennessee all the way up to the Midwest in the overnight hours tonight, we see storms fire up in Dallas, and that is your next chance over the overnight hours, most likely waking you up earlier than your alarm in Dallas tomorrow morning. Now we don't stop there. We have another risk for storms happening tomorrow in a very similar spot. We've shifted this over just to the south and east a little bit. Other than that, southeastern Oklahoma all the way into Texas, including Dallas, through most of Arkansas, northern Louisiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky included in this risk for tomorrow. So this is Thursday morning into the afternoon and evening hours. It's just round after round after round of storms here. You can see as soon as storms start to weaken, we see another round form right in central Arkansas by the evening to late night hours tomorrow night. So we do not stop. We don't take a break. The weather does not give us any rest for the next almost 5 days here. So it's really important to stay up to date on your forecasts, not only because it could be impacting you, but because things could change very, very quickly here. Let's talk about the impacts. I told you that large hail, especially from those discrete supercells, will be possible today. How large? Up to the size of a tennis ball. Now, I think that will be very isolated today. I was right in between these two sizes right here. If we had like a 2.25 inch, that's where I would have gone for today. Either way, we could see that large hail for today. Those other, that line of storms that I showed you, we're probably seeing golf ball size hail or smaller. So it's going to be those isolated discrete supercells out in front of that line of storms. That's what we're expecting for that tennis ball size hail today. Your significant hail model looks pretty impressive. We've got those darker oranges. That's what we want to see for large hail. Or maybe don't want to see, depends on where you are. I think that it's really interesting tomorrow morning. Watch how this hail risk goes back into Dallas by early tomorrow morning as we start to see those storms redevelop early tomorrow morning in Dallas. I think that we've got a pretty good chance for some large hail down there, maybe to the south of Dallas. Watch this model go one more time here. Up into Dallas. I think that's a pretty good chance for some larger hail. We've also got a little pocket right in here on the southern side of those late night storms down in Memphis and in the southern side of Tennessee. Now, here's your hail forecast. I did bring up those hail sizes in Dallas. Again, this is tomorrow morning, not storms that are happening now. This will be tomorrow morning. I have that red to 2 inches in size, to maybe a little bit larger than that. Depends on what forms in Dallas tomorrow morning. As you go farther to the north, your risk for large hail goes down. As you go farther down to the south, especially in this Springfield to Little Rock to Memphis area, I think that's going to be a really good area to get some larger hail. So that's for today. I think what comes up next is your wind, and then we'll talk tornado forecast. Your high wind for today, especially on the eastern side of this risk, as these storms start to bow out, will become a wind machine. Cincinnati, Nashville, Little Rock, all in that level 3 category to get high wind today. And honestly, I could see a scenario where we pop that up to extreme, that level 4 category for high wind today. Shreveport, Dallas, Springfield, I think that high wind is possible in this area, but probably staying right around 65 to 70 miles an hour. Now we have your tornado forecast. Here's one question. The suburbs of Chicago, will they see any hail? I have a low risk. What you're going to be watching for is that line of storms moving through. Some of these could come severe enough to produce, excuse me, a little hiccup there, up to ping pong ball size hail in this area, but I think that chance is going to be pretty low for today. High wind in this area for Chicago, 65 to 70 miles an hour. Now let's talk tornado forecast. We do have a low risk. It's a level 1 risk for Chicago, highlighted there in green, but really the greatest risk for those strong to violent tornadoes will be anywhere highlighted in red or pink. So remember, a strong or violent tornado is EF3 or even stronger. So we're talking about some really impactful tornadoes here, and the National Weather Service, or the Storm Prediction Center rather, said that there could be several of those today. Not just a one-off, but several are possible today. Cincinnati, Nashville, Little Rock, all the way down to Shreveport included in this risk here. Southeastern Missouri, most of Arkansas, northern Mississippi, the western side of Tennessee and Kentucky, southern side of Illinois, Indiana, and the western side of Ohio, all included in this risk today. This is the thing that you absolutely need to keep an eye out for today. This tornado risk could be very, very impactful to a lot of communities in this area. So of course, we'll be watching this for you, but make sure that you have multiple ways to get your weather alerts today. At least one of those ways should be able to wake you up, because if you are in an area that storms come in through the overnight hours, you want one of those ways to be able to wake you up. Make sure that you're talking to your family about this risk today so that they know exactly how to prepare as well. Everyone in this area should have their storm shelters cleaned out and have a plan to prepare. Prepare a plan now before those storms hit. we just want to be prepared. We don't want to be scared. We want to be prepared here. So let's go through a timeline. We had someone asking about Chicago. We've got storms moving through the northern side of Illinois right now. So Chicago is very, very close to seeing these storms, if not already seeing them. You're going to see storms move through Chicago by the evening hours tonight. Then you'll be just about out of that severe storm risk. So by the time you head home from work, you're probably about out of that storm risk. The biggest risk that we are watching for here will be near St. Louis, southern side. I know that we saw someone said that they're watching out of St. Louis today. Thanks for watching here. Your risk will be coming within the next hour or two as well, and then ending right around dinner time tonight. The biggest thing that we're watching for today will be in the evening hours, okay? So we're kicking this off right around 5 o'clock. Most models are saying right around 5 o'clock. There's some discrepancy here. Models aren't agreeing completely. However, most are saying right around 5 o'clock tonight. Here's what we're watching for. Now, this line of storms, that's where you see your golf ball size hail and smaller with high wind. Here's what you're watching for those violent tornadoes and very large hailstones. These discrete supercells. You can see that they start to really strengthen also through the evening hours as well. That's what you're watching for. It's these leading storms out in front of this line of storms here, okay? Those isolated storms, if they have enough room, they have a lot more time and room to organize. They've got those south winds feeding into them, and that's going to help to blow up these storms very fast and then produce some of those more dangerous hazards that we've been talking about, that large hail, those strong tornadoes. I saw a question in here about Dallas. Through the overnight hours tonight, Dallas stays severe clear. But let's head down into Dallas. Let's talk about that redevelopment through the overnight hours tonight and into early tomorrow morning. So we've got Granbury, Texas. We had another question about Dallas. Let's talk about the DFW area. Storms will start to fire up after 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Again, we're watching for these isolated storms here. We're watching for the ones that are not congealed into a line. I mean, those could have the potential for some high wind and large hail, but really it'll be these discrete cells right here forming right along I-20 and then stretching back to Dallas. I've got one more model that will show Dallas one more time in just a minute, okay? So let's go through this one more time. Here's the HRRR. You just looked at the NAM. You're looking at the HRRR now. I know there's a lot of questions about timing, so I wanted to show you each model here. The HRRR is bringing storms into St. Louis just a little bit earlier than our other models here. Once again, the HRRR is agreeing that there could be some isolated supercells out in front of this initial line. So that's what we're really watching for today. So we're watching for these isolated supercells, and then you'll see this entire thing most likely warned as we go through the evening and late night hours tonight, coming into Memphis right around 7 to midnight tonight. Once again, Dallas, you're going to see those storms form after 2 o'clock in the morning, so you're asleep by this point. It's early Thursday morning. This is when you need to have your weather alerts turned on so that something could wake you up out of your sleep in case you need to be warned about this, right? Most likely what you're going to see here is some pretty large hail and that isolated tornado threat, and then you could also see some of those stronger high wind profiles as well. All right, taking a look at Thursday. Today's Wednesday, so this would be Thursday. Here's your hail risk for tomorrow. I know I need to update the day here, but either way, here's your update for your hail forecast tomorrow, Thursday. Dallas, Shreveport, as we go throughout the morning hours, will still have a medium risk for some of that larger hail. I'm keeping it anywhere around ping pong to golf ball size hail for tomorrow. And if we go through here, there you go. You can see your radar for tomorrow. So here's your radar for today. Storms going through St. Louis, Chicago in the afternoon and early evening hours. Slowly, I saw one question about Texarkana. Texarkana, evening time frame for you. Late afternoon, evening hours. Moving through some of these hours here. These storms stretch out to the east. As we go into the late night hours tonight, like 2, 3 o'clock tonight, a lot of this becomes less of a concern and Dallas starts to blow up. So our attention shifts from this line of storms down to Dallas, into Oklahoma City by early tomorrow morning, into the midday hours. Now, we start to see storms relax a little bit, weaken a little bit into the late morning tomorrow, but just wait. You're going to see redevelopment into central Arkansas into the afternoon and evening hours. And once again, we go through this again where we see another round of storms as we head into the evening and overnight hours. Southern Illinois, southern Indiana also included in that. So taking a look at your max forecasted hail size for tomorrow, for Thursday, golf ball size hail, I dropped those hail sizes down just a little bit there. We still have a tornado risk, and this is actually updated since what we saw early this morning. We now have a level 3 tornado risk for tomorrow. I know these dates are wrong. It should be Thursday up here. This is for tomorrow in Little Rock. Level 3, once again, we could see some strong tornadoes tomorrow. That's what that dashed line means. That dashed line means that we could see strong to violent tornadoes out of this. So that's Thursday. Moving on to Friday now. And again, if you missed, I know I saw a question about Granbury, Texas, Dallas in there. We showed those radars, those future radars. If you missed it, you can always go back and watch once again. You can pause, you can rewind, you can fast forward once this live is over. So you can go back and see that future radar again. Moving on to Friday now. Friday has a level 2 risk already and most likely upgraded to a level 3 by the time we get to Friday. Friday, that risk goes anywhere from the central portion of Texas, including Dallas here, but all the way down into places like San Angelo and maybe even San Antonio, Memphis, St. Louis, and Cincinnati, all included in this risk. And then as we head into Saturday, we have another risk for storms, mainly down in the southeast into our Gulf states. Sunday, once again, another risk. That risk moves to the south and east, and we are going to see storms down into Atlanta and even Jacksonville. So again, that's Sunday. So we have a risk almost every single day this week. We stay very, very active in this flow here. However, I do have I have a thought that we could potentially, and I don't want to jinx it, start to weaken this flow, this very active flow, start to slow it down a little bit as we head into the second week of April. So models are saying that we could start to slow down all of these like day after day after day risks by the second week of April. You see that we are really looking for these troughs here. We start to see a ridge form, and this is going to be your saving grace from storms starting to slow down a little bit. Or maybe you don't want to see that ridge. Either way, we're looking for this ridge to form. This usually means quiet and more tranquil, calm weather. And again, this is from the second week of April, and then we could see it pick back up again as we head into the second half of April. So 7th through about 12th, we could start to see storm action calm down a little bit. Either way, here's your temperatures. Much warmer down to the south and east, cooler up to the north. Pretty typical for this time of the year. Temperatures are going to go up and down in this roller coaster-like fashion as we keep having these fronts move through. You're going to see temperatures cool and warm. Every day is a different day. Do you need your jacket? Do you need your coat? Do you need your t-shirt? 6 p.m. on Saturday. Temperatures are down into the 40s and 50s here in Oklahoma. You may need a light jacket out in Dallas for your weekend activities. 49 up in St. Louis. Yeah, you definitely need a jacket for a good portion of the U.S. this weekend. But again, I told you it's a roller coaster ride. You'll go back up. It was very windy yesterday across the plains here in Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. It was very, very windy yesterday. That wind has now moved off to the east, so we are seeing that high wind across St. Louis all the way down into Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky for today. High wind out to the southeast tomorrow. We're watching for a fire danger out to the west. We definitely need some rain out there. Unfortunately, I think a lot of that rain is going to stay farther to the east. Now, just to reinforce our thinking here about calmer conditions into the second week of April, we have seen from the 7th to the 11th, cooler conditions also trying to move in here. So again, the second week of April, temperatures could be a bit cooler than average this time of the year and drier as well. Cooler and drier oftentimes mean less storm activity. So we've got another week of this, and then we may see conditions calm down by next week. We'll have to see what happens. Things could change. Day by day, models will change. All right, make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado map, give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com. We will be mapping those storms that are happening. Well, we are mapping storms that are happening right now. Say that 5 times fast. we have meteorologists that are watching those storms right now, but we will be mapping storms this evening as well, and we'll be going live if anything if anything looks very interesting going into a large city. We absolutely will be going live for that. All right, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you back here for your forecast, same time, same place tomorrow.